Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Monday Night Show. I'm Howie. I'll be your host tonight, and I'll go left to right and introduce my special cast of characters. We have Eric with us. We have Kevin with us as well. The one and only BSR, Brian, welcome. And we have Buddy with us from Chicago. And we do have Boston John Cawley with us as well. And last but not least, Mr. Jay Brennan. Thank you, guys.
Who wants a CDJ? Yeah. How's that?
Yeah,
Oh,
baby.
yeah. Whoa. Optical illusion.
Yeah, wow. Is that the back of a business card or something?
I got little toys from Japan. This is a CDJ. I'm not kidding. It's a CDJ 3000 from Japan, but it's this big.
But it really works?
I wish. Yeah. It takes a battery. Go figure that part out. I can only imagine what that's going to do.
Oh, boy. All right, guys. Hey, the topic I was thinking of covering here, which may be of help to certainly the single ops and the newcomers, which we specialize in, would be logistics. And I'm thinking along the lines of how you load things in, how you set up, that sort of thing. For myself, if I have three setups, I'm going to load the reception in first. Second will be the cocktail hour system. And the very last thing I load in is going to be for the ceremony. That way, what am I going to set up first? The ceremony. Next, it'll be, cocktail and so forth. So, and then it'll go back in the reverse order because the other systems are working. I'm auto playing for the cocktail hour, and I tear down the ceremony system, put that in the truck, and then go back in and mix if I have to. But then I go upstairs or into the other room, and I'll put on some very low, dinner music, because there will be elderly people that will go directly into the reception, so they have something. And then when the cocktail hour is over and they all move in, I'll do however the schedule allows, whatever they want. If there's events, I'll wait till dinner, and then I'll put a short auto mix on, and then I can run down and break down the cocktail hour system and put that in the truck. Then at the end of the night, for me, the only thing I have to take down is, the reception area, and I'm on the road in 45 minutes, even though I had three systems. Is there anything else that anybody has that it doesn't have to be about, that, but, logistics for events?
Not everybody at once.
Yeah, I'll go. I have a sport utility, so the way that I load, the last thing that goes in is what I know that's going to fit on a complete cart run into the building. Because a lot of times I'm out by myself. Sometimes it's a venue that's got a drive-up walkway. Sometimes it's just a building and you're out in the street and your hazards are on and you can't leave stuff on the ground and you want to lock the truck. And so I've got two speakers, a few cases, table topper, tripods, close the door, lock it, and then I go. So I try to make sure that's closest to the tailgate, just for convenience. And then usually second trip, third trip, or however many it ends up being, the rest of the things all kind of fall in. But you don't want to spend too much time digging for something that's 3 rows back, because you need that to finish the cart Tetris that we all play.
Yes. That's a good word.
It can't be too wide because the doors are this, and it can't be too tall because the ramp going up is like this, and there's all different reasons for places for, like you say, with logistics, to try to get everything in safely, quickly, and without having to suffer any theft or damage. Because weather's a concern. You don't want to leave stuff outside in the rain. You just want to take from the truck what you can get on the cart quick, get in the building. Once it's all in, then you can sort. You make the cart for ceremony and roll that over and get that up and running. But that's really, and try to make it fit. And then the reverse game is, it all fit to get here. How come it doesn't all fit when I'm going home? What did I do differently?
Yes.
Did I pick up something that isn't mine? How did I end up with an extra box? You put that whole puzzle together and there's like a piece left over. Then sometimes something rides in the front seat with you and you're like, I don't understand how that happened, but it's all coming home with me.
Right.
That's just load in, just some quick stuff on load in.
Oh, that was cool, John. Thank you. Who wants to go next? Go ahead, Kevin.
All right. You sure, buddy? You all right? Okay. A lot of what John says, Tetris, that's for me. I organize it basically sort of like packing for a family vacation. The big stuff goes on the bottom. You pack the little stuff around it. So mine doesn't get sorted like I would like it to be. Like you were talking about reception. Here's my pile. Ceremony. Here's my pile. Cocktail. Here's my pile. Mine's sort of all commingled because I want to sort of fill in the gaps with the small pieces. What I do, especially if I'm bringing a different combination than I did before, and also I will contact the place saying, hey, do you have a table I can use? Do you have this? Do you have that? If I don't need it, I pull it out, so that gives me more room for the gear I do need. If I don't know, I have to bring it. That's just the way it is, because you can't go there. It's like, oh, damn, now I got to go to Walmart and pick up a table or this or that or something you get at Walmart. When I get it packed and I got everything in there, I also will use on my phone. I have it's called Color Note. It's an app. I would just list on there what all the items I need for that event is, and I just check them off as I get them in the vehicle. Also, when I get it completely packed, I will actually take my camera and take a picture of how I loaded it so that I can refer back to it. So that I can say, well, if it fit that way before, it better fit that way again with the same amount of stuff. So I can sort of use that and look at the picture and get it all organized. As far as setting up the different systems, I usually try to get there early enough that I don't have to do it in the order of the way it's going to happen for the day, like ceremony and then cocktails and reception. Because sometimes it's just one setup in one spot for everything. I'll do the ceremony and reception in the same place. Or at least around here, we do that a lot. That's what I did this past weekend. So that's what I do to make it easy on me, is try to organize, because I have different packages. So it's never the same exact of items twice. Some of my parts will break down. I do use totems. Ideally, I'd like to have a full-size van. I'd like to be buddy rich, and have a full-size van so I can just leave my totems together. But when I have the big package, I got to break them down, and again, allow more time for me to get that set up and put back together. So, like I said, it's always a juggling act. It's like John said, it's Tetris, biggest pieces down below. Try to keep them in the back if you can. But I'm using a sous vide as John is, so you got the two side doors in the back. So I make it all work. The one thing I'm lacking that you guys must have more room. I don't have a cart that I can get to fit in that space. If I got a full-size van or even a minivan, I think I'd be able to incorporate a cart, which would make my trips less. That, or I need me a roadie to help me. And right now, for the most events, I do it as a single op. If I sell a photo booth or some other features that I need a second banana, then I will get one. But that's what I do.
Yeah. Well, a cart is a lot cheaper than having hiring a roadie, because you only have to buy it once.
Yeah.
One time. Go ahead there, buddy.
Well, the one thing is that, like with us, because I'm blessed to work with my wife, and she helps set up and stuff like that, and helps carrying stuff. We usually do 2 carts, and having a van, it is a nice thing to have, a vehicle that's dedicated for that, you actually can secure things, you can move things, leave certain things on there, like, totes of cables and so forth, so on. So you have, extension cords, stuff like that. But like even a wedding this past Saturday we did, and the wedding was separate from the wedding reception. So it's two separate setups. Timing's a big thing. And like you, Howie, it's the same thing. The reception area we did first, and I got a new facade, which you got to snap together. It's kind of like along the lines of piping for photo booth. It's the same technology. And this facade took me a little bit of time to put together. First time we're doing it in the field versus at home. So it took a little bit extra minutes, but it'll come fast like anything else. And you're putting all this stuff together, and then you're going off to the ceremony part. And like you said before, when we have a third setup for a cocktail or something like that, the lucky thing with me is that Tracy can clean up behind, or if it's really big, we have one of our employees, they're cleaning up behind and putting stuff back into the van. But the big thing, I think, with anything with logistic wise is organization. If you're organized going in, organized coming out, just like John says, stuff goes to the front of the vehicle, stuff goes to the back of the vehicle, you know exactly where to put things. You do organizational, and you figure where things go. Everyone here is really good at that, and I think that helps you out at the end of the night. You know where everything is at. Everything has a place. Every place has a thing. So it's a great thing to be.
Wonderful. Go ahead, Eric. I heard you going.
Well, I cleared my throat thinking I might be next.
All right, DJ, cool.
No, let me clear. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I see where you went there. When I open the back of my car or whatever I'm driving, I know everything in here is going to go in. Well, it depends on how lazy I am that day, what goes in first. I might bring the light stuff in first. And I do use a cot, but yes, I mean, I do the Tetris thing like John brought up. But if you're doing ceremony, cocktail, reception, obviously once everything's in, you got to leave yourself enough time to get all this done, obviously. So, and ceremony is going to happen first. Make sure that's up and running. Go to it. Then I'll set up the cocktail area, and then the reception's last, obviously, because that's going to be the last room. If there's 3 rooms, I've been in many weddings where cocktail and reception were the same room, which made it easier on me.
But when the weather's good, you'll find your ceremony is outdoors somewhere, usually, like on the 19th hole or something crazy. Yeah.
Which is fine, because once that's done, I've already got background music going in the next spot, and I packed it up, throw it in the car. So it may not go in the same area as when I arrived. You know what I mean? Because now it's going first in the car. Because I want to get it out the way and packed. So, I mean, everybody's different. We all have our own rhyme and reason on what we do. Bottom line is everything in the car is going to come out, and then you decide what needs to be set up first. That's what I got to say about this. But
all right.
At the end of the night, we're all tired. We want to get out of there, and it's not going to go in the same way some nights. I don't care how well you plan it, but we all have that night like, let's get the hell out of here, And it's like, wherever it fits, it fits. Let's go. I'll fix it tomorrow. But
all righty. Well, thank you, Eric. Well, we only have 2 left.
You have 3 left.
Gentlemen, 3.
Well, did Jay go?
Yeah.
are you pregnant?
No. Jay and you.
What about John?
I went first.
You went
John
first.
went.
Oh,
Yeah.
then Jay goes. Or I go. Somebody goes.
Yep.
I don't care. Hi, how is everyone? So I'm kind of confused almost a little bit on the question, because it's like, what do you do for load in? And I think we're all going to be pretty similar. Like, I build my load in the same way John probably does. Like, I try to build my truck out, meaning the ceremony stuff is going to be the last to get loaded in. So that when I get to the event, I can put it all in the cart, put it to ceremony. The one thing you said, Howie, that I don't do, because I don't really have the time usually, is I don't get to move the ceremony or cocktail systems back to the truck. So I just know at the end of the night, everything's going to go back in. And that's where it becomes kind of an S show a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm just loading it up. I'm just throwing everything in. I really don't care how it goes. I don't really care where it ends up because I have to unload it when I get home anyway. And that's one of the features of being a mobile DJ. You load in the morning, you unload. You load back, you unload. So you're 4 or 5 times, 6 times a day, this gear is running around. So, the only advice I could give would be that I'm getting a terrible echo, by the way. I don't know if anyone's got this.
I can hear it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can I, which is weird. Is to simply plan ahead. And one of the great things that I've done is, even though I bring too much to every gig, I bring too much gear, I bring too many cables, I've gone to, I think it was either Lowe's or Home Depot or somewhere, and I bought a couple of bags that were big enough to hold a lot of cables, and I designated one ceremony, one reception, so that I know at every single gig, as long as bags 1 and 2 show up, I'm covered on both sides. And that way, at the end of the night, I'm putting the right cables back in the right bag. And it may not seem like much until the next gig, when you're suddenly like, where's that, quarter male to 2 female, quarters that I need, or where's that mini to 2 RCAs, or, I think planning and prepping that way really helps out a lot.
Sure. Absolutely. Alrighty. Brian, what does the soothsayer say?
Well, yeah. So
You've probably done a couple of videos on this, right?
Well, I don't know if I have or not, but I know it's changed. So I will tell you that we really had to be careful with how we loaded vehicles back in the dinosaur days, because we had vans, just rear-wheel drive vans, and very heavy equipment. So it was very important that we put the heaviest stuff in front of the axle, because if we put it behind the axle, and with the snow and ice we have, it'd be very easy to spin a vehicle out. So we had to make sure, like the heavy speakers, regardless of how it comes in and out, the heavy stuff had to go in front of the axle. And I still kind of do that. I don't want to put anything really heavy behind the axle on my trucks when I load, because of the weather we have here. It's just a habit. When I'm doing an event, there are a couple things that I have to think about. One thing is not handling equipment twice. I hate that. So if I have to completely unload a vehicle to put it on a cart, that is no bueno. What I want to do is get the cart out first, and then I can put things on the cart to bring it into a venue. That is something that I feel like saves a lot of time. The other thing is, usually, like if I'm doing something like a 2 setup event where I've got a small ceremony system and then I have a main ceremony system, like a main reception system, I have to think about what I'm actually going to set up first, because most of the time I'm setting up the reception first. I'm going early, I'm setting up the reception and getting that ready to go, because immediately following ceremony I got to have music going. So it's not like I'm setting it up, set up the system, then break it down and put it in the truck, and then taking the other system out and setting it up. That would be dead air. So I'm thinking of it in those regards. So it doesn't really matter what's first, because they're both getting set up before I start anyway.
Yeah.
So, it's a matter of smart loading, not piling things on top of things that, I don't want to put things on top of my cart. Like I said, that's just going to really screw things up and slow things down. And where I live, loading smart could save your life in treacherous conditions. So
Work smarter, not harder.
I'll also say this. For years, I used pickup trucks because they made sense. They were affordable. I didn't look like, a dork. Sorry, guys who drive vans. But
Who said?
I switched to SUV. And I quickly discovered that it was a lot easier to use an SUV, the one I have, because it's got a hatchback. And I'm not leaning over a tailgate to pull equipment out.
Right.
You get the same thing with a minivan, and you get that with a sliding door, or a van with barn doors. But the pickup truck works. You can put a lot of stuff in there with the cap, but there's a lot of leaning over that is unnecessary. Going with something else is a lot more friendly for, especially the older we get. If you're 21, it doesn't matter, but if you're double that, plus a few, then maybe you might want to think about trying to make this as easy as possible. And minivans and SUVs with hatchbacks or vans with barn doors typically are going to be a heck of a lot easier for you than a pickup truck.
I can find myself like crawling into the back of a pickup, and that must be hell. Like that last thing in the, Yeah.
You get the wrong bed liner and it kills your knees.
Yeah. Well, I had the plastic bed liner, and I used to slide my PVs all the way in, and I had a rake, like a wooden rake with metal prongs, and I would grab the handles and pull the speakers out.
That part is nice. I do like loading in, but when it comes to getting it out,
Yeah.
my arms aren't that long.
Yeah, but he nails that. When we were just starting out, we were in our 20s. Yeah, we could crawl along, grab that stuff, carry two subs at one time, and rock and roller cart. They weren't even out. We carried that shit by hand, So
Yeah, typically.
You ever seen the bed liner that you can pull back and forth? It has a handle.
Oh, you can roll it,
gravel or dirt. You can roll it back in. I actually know somebody that has a pickup that DJs. They have that. I think it's called a Toro or a Torno, whatever the name of that cover is. They pop that up at the gig.
Tunnel.
Tonneau?
Thank
you.
Yeah.
I'm way so above people that drive trucks, Brian. I'm sorry. I don't.
You live in Temecula.
I'm just sorry about that, my friend. Different socioeconomic thing. No racing here.
God.
I understand.
I live near Paris, so that should tell you I'm in a kind of
live
elite
right by
class.
Paris. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he actually got that because he was like, I'm just going to load the gear in. Now, granted, you lose on one of the trips.
Yeah.
You lose on the load in, but you gain on the load out because you get it to the front, you put your stuff on it, you close the top, you get to the gig, you pull the back down, and you start rotating the handle, and the gear all moves towards you. So it's actually.
Why can't you do the opposite on load in though?
I don't think you can. I don't know. I don't know if it's on track so much that you can actually. Maybe you can, but he said it's different putting it in because I think they assume you're like they assume you have muscles and you're throwing dirt and cattle and rocks on it,
right?
And you listen to John Cougar Mellencamp in the background or something, and you can just push it up yourself.
I always thought like something like incorporating something from like a hearse or an ambulance. Old school ambulance.
We just pull it. Yeah, that
neat.
genuinely makes sense. Last week I got to use the big time van, even bigger than Buddy's Sprinter van. No. And yeah, it was amazing to stand. Oh, it was. It's much bigger. I looked at his size.
We did the measurements. I remember.
It's the second thing that's much bigger than Buddy's, and you can stand up in it, and it's great. But there's so much room that it's like. If you gave me that to do gigs, I'd say no because there's just too much room. But it was nice.
Yeah.
The one thing you find out very quickly with vans, Brian, and I used a minivan for a lot of years. Minivans are easy because you never step really into them.
Right.
You kind of just everything's flat.
Yeah, with the side doors and everything, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. But with the Sprinter style van, the first time you pick up like a 30-pound speaker and then step up 2 or 3 feet and in. You find out all the muscles involved in that CrossFit crap that people do and kettlebells. Yeah, you learn very fast. The body is apparently not built the way you thought it was.
Yeah, note to self, don't get a Sprinter van.
Oh, only if you do get ramps or something.
Yeah.
No, it's a chore, man. Stepping up and down off that thing. I was like all Mr. Cool Guy with like, yeah, let me grab this 35-pound speaker. And, that was it. Call the ambulance.
That's the beauty of the Caravan. The like where you load in, they're so low. Really, it don't take
100%.
That's like 8 inches
Same
off
with
the
the
ground.
Suburban.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they all have a benefit. The Suburban has a huge back seat if you wanted to put stuff on the seat, plus the floor, plus you have the back.
I don't find myself bending too much with the Suburban. It's not super deep. I think it's only like 5 feet deep.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're right there, so you can just grab things and pick them up. Opposed to
It's similar to a
leaning in and dragging them
minivan. You
out.
could sleep in either one. If you got stuck at a gig, if you had to, you could crash out, wait till the next morning. With a pickup truck, my only fear would always be, is it going to leak? Am I going to stop to go to the bathroom somewhere and somebody's going to open that top and rip me off? You kind of want some sense of control over the gear.
I don't have a theft concern, and as far as kind of
In a Suburban,
goes.
no.
Huh?
In a Suburban, no.
Well, in anything, because I don't live in the hood. But
No. But it's not even that, Brian. It's like if you show up, I look at it as what's like your pickup trucks that you had, like the red Dodge, you had a cover on it. So it's, for all intents and purposes, it's an SUV, but with a pickup truck bed. Versus if you had taken that top and brought it to the cab and all that.
well, in regards to that top, you can have a leaky top.
Well, that's one issue.
But
Plus, don't you think the ride's different on a pickup truck than, let's say, a Suburban? I would think the ride's more comfortable in the Suburban, less likely to jump your gear around.
Yeah, Blanca told me yesterday. I told her I'm thinking about getting a new truck, and she said, "Get a Suburban or forget it." Just no.
Yeah.
I said, well, you want a Suburban? He goes, oh yeah, we won't have anything other but a Suburban.
Well, she's high maintenance anyway.
Besides vehicles, which we could talk all night about, but would you agree with me that probably the best tip and the number one tip would be get there early?
That's the main key to anything. Yes.
Yeah.
Get there early. Give yourself plenty of time.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I want to thank you all for participating. And hey, folks, if you have any questions or ideas for a show, put them in the comments down below when this gets published to YouTube next Easter. And we'll be happy to tackle them for you. And